What is going on? We are live. Welcome back to the live stream. And I'm going to just make sure that everything is working out just fine here. It says I'm going live. I hope that you can hear me. And I want to thank you for tuning in for this live stream session. I'm really excited about this. Connecting registers. This is something all trumpet players we got to do. We got to be able to not just do it, we've got to be able to excel. We've got to be able to do it well. So really very stoked about this. So we are going to get rolling here in just a minute. I'm going to just check this out, and I'm going to share it as well. So if you are watching this and enjoying this, I appreciate you for tuning in. And this is I think this is really going to be a nice one. We are going to have a good time. So welcome. We've got our first viewer here. And let me check the levels here. I think it sounds good. So we are live. And today we are talking about connecting registers. And what do I mean by connecting registers? Well, making sure that we can play from the very lowest note that we can comfortably play all the way up to the highest note, and that we can connect the registers that we own on the trumpet. So let's jump into this. All right. So connecting registers. I put together a couple slides. I've been doing these slides on these, and a couple things I just want to touch base on here, just to put it out there, just to get you something to think about, and hopefully this is going to give you some new ways in order to practice, really connecting everything. Because, some of the pieces out there, man, we got to go from high to low, low to high, and in between. So this is a biggie. We're gonna start with this, and just at the top, I play trumpet. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. So good, people are logging in. If you're enjoying this, please, if you're here, hit that like, maybe share it with your friends so we can get more people in here. More questions, the better. Now, this is it. All right, try and minimize chop movement. All right, our overall range of motion is a limiting factor. And type out in the comments any questions throughout this live stream. I want to interact. I want to talk with you all. And what do I mean by try and minimize chop movement? Let me know if you got, what your thoughts are on that. Where do you think I'm coming from when I say that? Because I know what I mean, but, I want to make sure that I'm clear for everyone. If you got any, type it in there. But here's what I'm going to say. Minimize chop movement is we only have a certain range of motion. Now, a lot of players, when they're playing, they'll pivot in some capacity, right? They'll play low, they'll kind of, right? Raise your hand if you pivot, or if you've pivoted before. So there's only so much movement that we can do with the mouthpiece until that's all of the movement. And if our lowest and our highest note, if our complete range doesn't fit within that small amount of movement, we're going to be leaving some notes out. And that can be an issue, particularly with people who kind of reset and reposition for different registers. And I used to do that as a younger player. I used to play in a manner where I could do a lot of stuff, and then when I wanted to play really high, I had to kind of reset. I had to put it in a different spot. And then my low notes when I was young, and even when I first got to undergraduate at Oberlin, my low notes, they were sad. And I had to kind of change position quite a bit. And what that meant was, if I had a piece of music that really, kind of went all over the place, I wasn't able to slur it and play it. I wasn't able to really kind of execute and do that the way that I needed to. So, this is just really very important. So we want to minimize the chop movement. That's going to help us overall, really with everything. So I love this. All right. repeat after me, please. Reach with your air, right? Not your chops. Reach with your air, not your chops. And when you can take this to heart, when you can really internalize this, magic is going to happen. Like you're playing, you are going to feel great about things because, you know, you're going to be doing your thing and reaching with your air, just keeping that in mind. What it's going to do is it's going to allow you to just let your chops, you know, relax. And you're not going to be focusing on trying to grab the note and trying to reach for that next note with your chops. Air. Ooh, say it again, right? Air. Yeah. So reach with your air, not your chops. Really, just very important. So what I mean by that, let me demonstrate real quick. What I mean by that. All right, so reaching with our chops. Ooh, I'm going to even change this screen up like this. All right, so reaching with our chops is kind of grabbing at the note, right? So right, if we're kind of tightening up and reaching for that next note with our chops, we're not going to be in a good position because our chops are going to tighten and tighten. And again, our chops they only have so much range of motion, like as far as pivoting or tightening and loosening. So we don't want to do that. Otherwise, we're just going to limit everything we're able to do. So we want to reach with our air. All right, I'm playing with one hand here. We want to reach with our air. All right, I'm going to demonstrate in a minute a couple great exercises. And it's going to take you pedal register, pedal F, down to pedal C. I think I wrote this exercise all the way up to a high G. So we're going to be going through some great stuff. Play along if you want. Otherwise, come back to this, play with it then. And, you know, just really reach with your air. We want our air to get to the note before our chops do. We always want our air to get to that next note before the chops, and then the chops. All right. So anyone watching, put your comments in here. All right. Reach with your air, not your chops. Let's look at this next slide. All right. Tips to focus on. All right. Couple things. This is just a recap of what I was talking about and adding a little bit more. All right, minimal movement of your chops between, between from note to note. Remember, reach with the air. Maintain support in your corners. What are the corners? Now, this is a good one. This is a good question because people talk about the corners all the time. And a lot of people think corners. Oh, I always thought, corners here. But this is something I picked up along the way. I believe Roy Poper told me this. And the mouthpiece on your face, corners. All right. Where the mouthpiece meets your chops. Sure, corner, but you know, this is the support that we need. And some people, it looks like they're smiling, that they're pulling back. We don't want to do that. You want to, you know, kind of hug your teeth there. Some people, it looks like they're smiling, even Maurice Andre sometimes, like in some of his videos, but that's just like the nature of some people's faces and, you know, how they're built. It's really tough to, you know, just look at someone and be able to say, oh, this is what they're doing. But people who are familiar with his playing and, you know, talked with him about it, it's like corners. All right. Maintain a full and steady airstream throughout. And some of the exercises that I've created here where it's going into the pedal range and that's going from the pedal range up, 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 up. This is the secret. So many people, they say, oh, the pedal notes, like the lower register is like a secret for the high register. But they don't really talk about it. They don't really explain it. They don't really like necessarily always tell you, oh, why or how. And I really find that it's connecting the low register to the upper register which is this secret, which really helps you out. So maintaining this full and steady airstream throughout. And you're going to see, I'm going to just skip ahead so you can see, like, all right, this is where we're starting. Maintaining that, going throughout, you're going to see it really makes such a very big difference. And going from low to high can help us, as I say, stay relaxed, open, and supported with our air in the upper register. All right. The thing about, playing in the upper register, for so many people, they get tight. And I'm going to keep mentioning this, like grabbing with the chops, like tightening, and, it's killing the vibration. It's making it more difficult for the air to be released. We got to let the air out, and the air is it's making the sound. Now, if we are too tight, it's not going to happen. So when we play down low, we need a lot of air to play low. A lot of people think as we descend into the lower register that, you loosen up, and you loosen up the center. All right? This center of the chops here, this is what you loosen up. But Rory used to also say, like blowing through a straw, right? Like we need this support. We have to have a lot of support for the lower notes, for the lower register, in order to then carry us into the upper register. And on a different live stream, if you've been catching all these live streams, one of the other ones, I was talking about Pierre Thibault, and he was talking about that low pedal F, that first pedal note. And throughout this series, all these exercises, the pedal notes, I'm going to play with the same fingering as the octave above, except for the low C. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. But that pedal F, he was talking about that and saying that pedal F, you keep the support, and you can actually maintain that through all of the registers. Really very, very interesting. So we're gonna play it. We're gonna talk about it and kind of get into that and see what does that exactly mean. For me, I find that the support of the chops, the support of the corners, the support of the fullness of the airstream in the lower register, it keeps us open. It keeps us relaxed in the center. And then, you change your air as you're ascending. You change the tongue position, right? And you don't grab. You don't grab the notes. You don't tighten up. And that's how we can reach with our air. All right? That's how we can reach with our air. So this is the first exercise I'm pulling up. All right? And you're going to see a couple fermatas here. And the reason I put them there is because you can stop on that first G on top of the staff. All right? You don't got to go up to that high G. But there's a couple things we're doing here. The first is we're starting in the mid register. We're starting from something we can do already, something we can play, an arpeggio, E-O, going down, and then O. Then once we get to that first G, we're going to hold it. Now, if you want, you extend it. You keep going. But if you can't play that high, don't push it. Don't kill yourself. This is not something I picked up overnight. This takes time to develop. And we're going to go down chromatically until we're at C, G, E, pedal C, right? Down low. And then connecting that to a high C. And, these are advanced. However, if you do it to that first, the second fermata, not the very last fermata, you're going to find that it's going to help you really kind of connect things. All right. If you're new joining us, we got people coming in and out. I appreciate you being here. If you've got comments, leave them below. Put the comments on the side. I'm going to see them. I want to have this dialogue. We're going to talk and hopefully, answer your questions and make sure everything is clear. I'm doing these sessions to be able to, help all you guys and connect with everyone who's out there in trumpet world. So this first exercise, let's play some of this. All right. Let me move over to here. So what I'm really doing here is focusing on keeping it smooth, keeping it connected, keeping it open and full. And you can start just with that first section up to that first fermata, all right? And we want to maintain the support as we go down low of our corners and of our air. Right? A nice, big, full, low G. And then we're going to continue on to the next one. Right? And let me see if I can get like close up on here so you can see what's happening with my chops, because I want you to really understand that I'm not moving a whole lot, and that's really kind of the goal here. We're trying to connect these registers. So let me play it just up to the next fermata then. All right, so we're connecting low to high. Let me show you up close. All right, so hopefully you'll be able to see this a little better. And I don't know if you'll hear it better, but this is what I'm going for. Right, you see that? I'm not moving too much with the chops. I'm reaching with the air, okay? All right, let's get back into it. And you got questions? Let me know. So these first two, these are notes in the trumpet range as far as the low notes are concerned, all right? We're not doing any pedal notes yet, so I want to start us in the trumpet register, and then we're going to move down and get into these pedal notes. So we started with G, now we're on F sharp. Just to that first one. Right, nice and full, supported, airstream, and then yo to that next fermata. And we can keep these flowing. All right, they don't have to be like super metronomic. You know, that's why I didn't put a metronome on for this. We want to kind of flow, and we want to connect everything with our air, all right? That's super, super important. And I do these types of exercises every single day. I'm not joking. Every single day, I do these types of exercises. All right, now we're going to move on to the next part. Play the entire second line. And if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. All right, so we want to kind of connect. I'm not blasting. I'm not like, you can see, it's not like crazy for me to, you know, get up there from the low register. I'm just trying to stay connected, keep my air full and open, and reach with my air. I'm not trying to grab with my chops. I'm keeping the movement down minimally, all right? Pedal notes. We got a question here. Hold on. All right, the question is, what are pedal notes? So pedal notes, are the note right below that F sharp, all right? So that's like officially the lowest note on the trumpet. However, so these are the notes that are below where the trumpet actually really wants to play. And if you do a stamp warm-up, you're very familiar with them. If you've ever looked at the, there's so many different methods where they use pedal notes. So I connect my pedal notes to my regular mid-register, to the mid-upper, the upper register, and the extreme register. I do that every day. And I really find that it helps me to, be able to control what I want to play and, it makes everything more compact. My lowest note to my highest note doesn't feel all that different. It doesn't feel like there's that much movement. So pedal notes, we're on to the first one. KGR Music, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. And they're great. I'm going to talk about them soon. So this pedal F, this is the next one we're on, the third line. All right, the third line. And remember, we're going to use the fingering for the octave above for our pedal notes. All right. I'm not letting my chops collapse as I descend. I'm keeping that, you know, the corners, right? I'm keeping the support in my embouchure. And I am loosening up the very center inside the mouthpiece, and these low notes, they take a lot of air. So, to the next fermata. All right, so we're connecting F in the staff, down to pedal F, and then up 2 octaves. Reaching with air. I'm going to say that like 100 times. But that's it. That's what I'm thinking about, all right? The moment I think about reaching with my chops, grabbing that next note, is when it doesn't work. That's when, that's when things go haywire. All right, now we're playing that third line. All right, that was a little rough A, but I put that in the thumbnail, so I figure I had to at least try that once. All right, we're gonna go higher though. So now we're doing the next one. E, O, right? Real low, and you hear I'm singing these, right? Oh. All right, we gotta be able to hear these pitches, even the pedal notes. The low notes, you gotta be able to hear them. If you can sing them, even better. But, we want to be able to hear it so clearly because those pedal notes, they don't want to come out. It's not in the acoustics of the trumpet. We got to make it come out. So a lot of support, a lot of air. All right, so some of them are going to be better. Some of them be smoother. This is why we work on them. All right, let me go to the next one. All right, and we're going down, and as we descend lower, you're going to find like it may, you may not be able to hit all the low notes. So in that instance, right, if you can't hit the pedal notes, don't fret. Don't worry. Go to what your lowest note is, and then you go upward. I do the same thing like with what my highest note is, and then I try and reach a little bit more, all right? As long as we're reaching with our air, we're not grabbing and like getting too tight, then, we're not doing any damage. Like we're working it out. And, as you're working on upper register, the same as lower register, some of those notes, they're going to sound funky. They're not going to be stable. They're not going to be like locked in. And that's totally okay. All right. We got to, learn where the balance is, where the slotting is, the amount of air, the speed of the air. So now E flat. All right. I'm going to just play through these now. I demonstrated a couple times where I just went to the first fermata and then the second fermata and then moving on. And, those are just different levels that you can take it to develop these exercises. All right, you can take it up higher. You can go down even lower if you want. We got to experiment and play what works for us. Next one, D. right, so took it up a little higher, took it down a little lower. This is a skeleton. This is like what you can work with. This is a framework. You got any questions? Put them in the comments. I covered a lot. I'm happy to cover it all over again. And, we're talking this through. I'm answering your questions. Now, D flat. All right. So we're getting low. All right. We are getting very low. And the thing that I'm really thinking about and focusing on, especially in that kind of pedal F, E flat register, in that range, for me, I can really kind of maintain the openness, the relaxation, the fullness, the power of like the air and everything that I'm like leaning into to play these low. Right? It feels like good as I'm in that low register. And I'm trying to maintain that kind of ease and openness as I go up, right? All right, now E flat, D flat. All right, D flat. Ooh. All right, so I wanted to mention, this is 2 pedal notes already. All right, so the last 2, there's 2 pedal notes in there, so it really forces you to maintain that support. And C. All right, C, G, E, right? real low. Keep it nice and full, connected airstream, all right? Ooh. All right, so I didn't like that. And the reason is my air and my chops, they were out of sync. And that's why those notes, they weren't popping the right way, all right? My support coming from that pedal C to the E, I let up a little bit, and it threw things out of, this is why we do these exercises, so that we can really focus and dial that in. All right, we can continue. So that was a C to a pedal C, all the way up to a double high C. All right, these are the types of exercises that I honestly do every day. Like, I do stuff like this because helping me connect the extremes of my range allows me to minimize, it just makes the chops more compact to me, because the amount of movement, the amount of manipulation you can do, you can't do very much when you're trying to traverse such a large register. So it really makes you focus on staying open, relaxed, and leading with your air. All right, so any questions, put them in the comments, and let's move on to this next one. All right, so this exercise, I wrote this a long time ago. I used to have my students, my middle school students, I used to have some of them play this, and high school students, maybe not middle school, sorry, high school students, I used to have some of them play this. Terrific exercise, great way to connect your registers, and a great way to start into the pedal register. That first one was a little extreme. This one is a lot smoother and into it, but it's a great slur interval study, and it really forces you to just focus on connecting your notes with your air. And you can you can continue onward, you can continue upward and downward, but it basically something like this. All right, I'm gonna do that again. It wasn't as connected going from that low A to the pedal F as I wanted. Yeah, that was better. All right. Now the next one, E. Ooh, let me move the slide. All right, next one. Ooh, I didn't get that low D, but that's, that's a challenge. It's not an easy one. All right, I'll take it, right? Kind of slurred down into it. All right, let me do this next bit. Ooh, the arpeggio got me on that one. These are tricky. Let me do that last one. Da, oh, down to the pedal C. Right, we can keep going up higher. Sometimes I take these, and there's an exercise I do in the Michael Sachs Daily Fundamentals. All right. And I take those arpeggios and I kind of go up and down. And, this is just a play on arpeggios. And let's see what we got. We got a comment here. Marcus Grant, what is up? Thank you for being here. All right, so you say, chop those last 2 minutes to make it a highlight video. Golden knowledge, glad I could find this out. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for leaving a comment. All right, we got more. This is, I love doing this type of stuff. And some people may look and see and be like, well, what do we, why would we play something like, right? Why are we like, there's no piece of music that does that. And probably there isn't. I mean, maybe there is, but if you got to play a high C, you don't just practice till you can play high C. You practice till you can play high D. You practice till you can play high E. Till you can play, if you can play a high F, your high C is going to sound like $1,000,000. It's going to be so relaxed and so nice and so easy. Same with the lower register, right? If you can manipulate and get down, right, and play a nice. Right, if you can start on a pedal D and go up to a high F sharp, man, your low F sharp is going to sound great. It's going to be so nice. If you got to play a big run, we got to connect our registers, all right? Let's see what else I made here. All right, work with what you know. So, talked about the Michael Sachs and, the one exercise I like. And then here I got just scales, arpeggios, melodies, and songs, all right? This is what I'm talking about. We want to just take things we're comfortable with and incorporate that into it. All right. If you're already doing scales, let's say you can do a 2-octave scale. All right. If you can do a 2-octave scale, you may be limited with how high you can go, but have you really explored to see how low you can go? All right. Have you really, then taken the, right? And right, have you taken it down lower? Have you ever tried a 3-octave scale, right? Arpeggios, the same thing. Take it from the registers go up a little bit, come back to the middle register, go down, back and forth. And what are we doing here? I'm moving these slides back. We are minimizing our chop movement, all right? And then we are maximizing our air movement. All right. Ooh, I like that. I should make a shirt that says that. I think the general public would probably be very confused, but we want to minimize our chop movement, maximize our air movement. Now, our tongue, it's going to do its thing. All right. It's going to be moving around. It's going to be helping with the air. And we got to learn what we need to do with our air for all these notes. Chuck asks, do you play below G, low G with all three? So yes, the last note is the low F sharp, right? G flat. Right? 1, 2, and 3. Now, when I get into the pedal register and the low notes, now, spoiler alert, next week, live stream is going to be on low notes. All right. I'm very excited. I think we're going to be doing it on Tuesday. I need to double check about that, but I believe on Tuesday is when you'll see it posted up. And if you're not on my email list yet, joshrazepka.com, you can sign up on my email list, and I will send out a message about where and when you can check that out. So, real excited. Kayla Solomon, great trumpeter. She is going to be joining me for a live stream session. We're going to be talking about low notes, and I'm stoked about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to get into a lot of it. So, low F sharp, 1, 2, and 3. Low F, all the pedal notes I play the same fingering as the octave above: F, E, E flat, D, D flat, until I get to the pedal C. Once I get to a pedal C, I play a 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes I can play it open. Arturo Sandoval, man, he can play a pedal C open. Sounds like $1 million. I know so many incredible trumpeters, they couldn't play a pedal C open to save their life. You give them $1,000, they can't do it. So I don't worry about that low pedal C. I use 1, 2, and 3. So if you just kind of keep in mind, we want to use the octave above, and especially if you get into, if you get into the teachings of Pierre Thibault in the book Ball Quitter Music, they sell it. One of them, he's talking about that, the pedal F, and he says particularly it's important that we play that pedal F with the first valve, because it really forces you. It really forces you to lean into it with your air, and you got to maintain the support of the chops. If you play it 1, 2, and 3, it's going to come out easier, but you're not going to get the benefit. So we're looking for the benefit, okay? We're not looking for what's easier on that particular note. And then for the E and the E flat D, we want the benefit, and the benefit is it's showing us how to maintain a supported embouchure and a supported air column, steady, constant air, and stay loose in the middle. Stay loose in the middle. And if we can take that and we can translate it going up into the upper register. So let me go to these next exercises that I had put together. All right. So work with what you know, right? Scales, arpeggios, melodies, songs. And for that note, all right, we're talking about the low, that pedal F. If you're able to do this, if you're having trouble locking it in on the horn, right, it's just not coming out. You want to find out where it really is. Do it like that. Like if you get frustrated, do it on the mouthpiece, because if it's coming out on the mouthpiece, you got it, and that just means you gotta find out where it's going to work for you on the horn. All right, and you just gotta increase the air, reach with the air. I want to make a shirt that says that too, and it's going to also confuse people. All right, so as I said, I do these types of things every day. Incorporating these types of exercises into our daily practice will give immediate benefits. I really, truly, honestly believe that, because if we're doing this every day, it's just making the trumpet smaller. All right, it's making the trumpet smaller. Think about that for a minute. Making the trumpet smaller. All right, I don't want my highest note to be here. I don't want my highest note to be here and my lowest note to feel here. All right? Down low. I want my highest note, dramatic effect. I want my highest note to feel like it's here and my lowest note to feel, I want them to be like next door neighbors. They're friends, all right? Because I don't want to have to feel like I have to manipulate too much to be able to move around the horn, all right? Because once you start getting into really complicated, tricky things where you're going all over the place, you're going to find that it's too difficult to think of high notes as being, far away from low. We can make them feel like neighbors, right? And, anyone who's ever played the embouchure exercises, like there's that one etude, right? It's like you look at it, you're like, man, this is jumping all over the place. And how do we do that? Let me show it to you. Hold on. I always have my embouchure handy because I practice out of it almost every single day. I love this book. And, you look at this. There we go. Right? Like that's connecting registers. And look, you look at the top here and it's like, oh, we're starting, we're expanding until it's very wide. Arbin does the exact same thing with those types of exercises. And in the Arbin book, it goes to 2 octaves. He doesn't go to the pedal register, but that's where I got to because I was taught stamp. I was taught buzzing. I was taught going into that pedal register. Let me know if you got more questions. All right, so here's another exercise. This is kind of a riff on what I was doing at the very beginning. And as you will see, I'm starting low and I'm going high. The difference with this exercise is that I'm actually now going to start some of these in the pedal register. All right, this first 2, I'm in the regular trumpet range. So it's not, having to come in on a pedal note. I grabbed with my chops. All right, let me do that again. All right, now let's go to this next one. Now we're starting on that pedal F. So a lot of times, if you're taking a pause and break, if you're not hearing the note, just give you that pitch, the octave above. Right? You can find the note, you can find the pitch. Right? You can, try and see if you can expand it. If you're trying to work on, on your range like that. All right. E. All right. That one, you heard I had to kind of get down into the E at the end. And my timing, just a little bit off. But these are exercises that I'm using to, try and feel like I'm getting all over the horn without moving too much, all right? We have to be able to separate certain, thoughts and ideas and exercises while we're practicing, all right? While we're practicing, we need to really understand, like, what's the goal of what I'm trying to accomplish, all right? I'm not in a concert right now. Like, some of the things I'm going to play, it's going to be sloppy. It's not, it's the goal of what I'm trying to achieve with this is having that minimal movement. So I don't want to put myself in the position where I'm forcing it, where I'm like grabbing with my chops, where like I'm trying to teach myself and train my air and find all the movements. And okay, how do I get through all these different registers while trying to, keep things from moving too much? And when you do that, invariably, you're going to miss notes. You're going to, it's going to be a little squirrely in some spots. Things are going to come out immediately the way that you want them to. Don't let that bother you. The thing that you got to be focusing on is the production. What you're trying to achieve with your production, is that working for you? Because, as you dial that in, the results, the sound is going to get better and better, and then you can really depend on that. So E flat. Right? And we can kind of expand a little more. And that one was good. That low E flat. That's a good note for me. Now let's low D. All right. All right. Just try playing through them. Now's when it really, gets even more difficult, because we've got 2 pedal notes to start and end. All right. So this is where it's so important, your ear training, that you're really hearing and listening these pitches before you play them. So for me, that's a tricky one. All right. And I'll be honest, this exact exercise, this is something I just wrote up this afternoon. I was like, oh, this might be a good one. So it's not something that I've played besides right now, and maybe messing around, So the idea is, however, that we want to be able to be comfortable starting on any note, whether it's low, whether it's mid, whether it's high, and then moving to any other note in our register, right? All right, try to get up to that double high C, but spanning that distance, it's like, this is what I try and do. Like, this is something that is gonna, as unrealistic as these types of exercises are for what we need to do when we play music, these type of exercises are beneficial in our playing, in showing us, hey, yeah, I don't actually need to move as much as I thought I did. I can actually reach with my air there. I can get that. All right. There isn't very much movement happening in my chops, and I know it's a little far away on that for you to be able to see, but I think you get the idea there. All right. Any questions? All right. I've been playing some, some of these exercises, and that's the last of the slides that I had made. But, I mentioned before, it's like, we want to be able to play what we know, whether it's arpeggios, whether it's scales. And there's been plenty of times where I've taken my scales and I've tried practicing them, 3 octaves instead of 2, getting down on the low pedal register and then getting way up high. And, at the end of the day, we want to feel comfortable and confident, like, in what we're playing, right? We want to be able to look at a piece of music and be like, oh yeah, cool, I got it, right? As opposed to, oh, how am I going I'm going to go from right to the notes aren't as far away as you think they are. They're not as far apart. All right. And, that is what these types of exercises have really taught me. Really, as I've expanded my lower register, my pedal range, and I've expanded my upper register, the thing that I've learned is that it's closer than you think. And I'm going to mention that Thibault book again. So, this was a big influence, this book, even though I got it after I finished my master's degree. I got this book and, I'm going through it, and it's it says in the beginning, this is for advanced trumpeters. However, playing that, going through that book, it's there is fantastic text. And one of the things they say, they're talking about stamp and quoting stamp. And one of the things he says is, you want to think of the octave, the distance of an octave as being no different than that of a half step. And when I first read that, I was like, man, what on earth is he talking about? How is that possible? An octave is so far away. A half step, it's that's nothing. But then it's oh, wait a minute. Can it be? All right, that feels pretty close, pretty easy. And you can see in my chops the movement with any of these. It's really not that much, right? And that's what he's getting at. And that's what all these exercises are. And start easy. Start easy with something simple that even if it's just from an F. And then getting back, and then just getting right back up. And expand it. What kind of trumpet and mouthpiece do you use? That's a great question. So I use a trumpet and mouthpiece that works very well for me. Your mileage, your results may differ. This is a Dennis Wick MM4C, Morris Murphy 4C. Let's see if it'll focus on that. I have it on, my camera is set to autofocus. So unless this looks like an eyeball, it's not going to focus. But this is the MM4C by Dennis Wick. I am a Dennis Wick sponsored artist. I love their mouthpieces. They are great. This is my all-around mouthpiece. If you're going to hire me for anything besides a commercial lead gig, I'm going to use this. If it's a jazz gig, if it's, a big band gig, I'm not playing lead. If it's a brass quintet, if I'm playing in an orchestra, if I'm playing etudes, practicing at home, that's what I use. If I am playing a lead gig, then I use one of the Heritage model. I also have the same mouthpiece in the Heritage blank, which is a little bit different. Come on, focus. All right, it's not going to focus. Just a lighter top. However, these low notes, that commercial, it's shallower. It's a little tighter. I think I actually don't know the specs on it, but I can't play those pedal notes nearly as good on this, but I don't practice the pedal notes on it. I can tell you I can play higher on my standard everyday mouthpiece. I can play higher on my standard everyday mouthpiece than I can on my lead mouthpiece, my commercial mouthpiece, because I play this more often, and I'm just more comfortable with it. And the commercial I can play, nearly just as high, but this I've got it actually beat a little bit with the range. Now, the reason that I would change a mouthpiece from my everyday all around playing to when I'm doing something commercial, let's say I'm playing in the pit orchestra, I'm playing first on some type of show that's demanding, right? Producers or Dreamgirls or something it's got a lot of intense stuff, where I'm playing in a big band or the band that I tour with, Under the Street Lamp. It doesn't help me play higher. What it does is it helps me with the character of the sound and articulation that I need and that that I want to create for that style, for that gig. And that's the important thing. Like you change gear for comfort and sound reasons, not because it's going to like allow you to play higher or do something. Like I can play higher on this. And it's not going to be the right sound for like a lead gig, for instance. But as far as actual range is concerned, yeah, my everyday lets me get there better. Any more questions from anyone? I'm digging some of these questions, and appreciate all of you stopping by. We're going to go for a little bit more. I'm happy to play some more, do some more demonstrations. I've played kind of a wide variety of things. Connecting the lowest to the highest and kind of in between. I play trumpet. All right. How do you get your first gig? How do you recommend to get a gig at a young age? That's a great question. And that should be actually like a whole panel session, a whole live stream. I'm going to save that. And that's great. So my first gig I got from my trumpet teacher in my first like professional gig that I got, hired for like a working band. I think I was playing a wedding somewhere, maybe. I may have done like some church gigs or something, but like this, I remember this gig. All right. I was in high school, and my trumpet teacher that I was studying with every week, he was as familiar with anyone about more familiar with my playing than anyone else. And he knew what I could do. And he was playing in this wedding band, and they needed a second trumpet one night. And he was like, let's see if Josh can do it. Right. He had faith in me and my ability. So he called me up and he's like, hey, can you do this gig? Or are you available? That's what he said. And then he said, this is what it's like. And he explained the gig to me. He really helped me out very much. And that's the best way to get gigs. The best way to get gigs is people have got to hear you. They've got to know how you sound, how you play, how you read. And, they got to make sure that they can also trust that you're going to show up when you need to show up, that you're responsible, that you're dependable, that you're going to show up not just when they need you to be there, but that also, if it's a wedding and they say it's black tie, that you don't, that you show up in a tuxedo, that you don't show up with tennis shoes or white socks. It's like, there's a lot of pieces in there. So, people have to feel confident in your ability to give them what they need. And if you can demonstrate that in lessons, you may not think it's so important that you show up and you're ready before your lesson starts every single week. However, that subliminally tells your teacher that you are prepared. If you show up and you haven't warmed up, then they're thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe they're not focused. They're not serious about this. Because if they were, they would have made sure to organize their schedule in a manner where they were able to warm up and be ready for the lesson the moment the lesson started. All right. These are little things and these are the types of things that young trumpeters, like you can do, show up early for your lessons, be warmed up, be prepared. If they're telling you to practice things, you practice, you do it. And they're going to get the impression, they're going to understand that you are ready for the gig. And, you're someone that they can rely on, because when someone recommends you for a gig, it's on them. It's their reputation. Like if someone recommends me for a gig and I show up and I just bomb and sound horrible, like that's a bad look. That's a bad impression on the person that recommended me. And I would never want that to happen. And if I recommend someone for a gig, like the best way always, if you have to sub out a gig or you recommend someone for a gig, recommend someone better than you. All right. Always you want to recommend someone better than you. But, I don't want to be nervous that I'm going to recommend someone that's not going to do the job properly and deliver everything that needs to happen. Because playing the trumpet is just a little part of a gig. All right. Playing the trumpet is just a little part of what we need to do. Like we need to be able to, get along with everyone in the band. We got to be dependable, show up. Like you've got to be able to read well, like not cause drama. Like you've got to bring the right gear, like the right trumpet. You have to bring your mutes. Like There's so much there. And, you know, if it was just about playing the trumpet, like, and that's just like all of the, like, you know, things that you shouldn't even have to think about. That should all just be happening. Like, you want someone that's showing up, they're listening, they're playing musically, like they're vibing. Like you want to, when you play with a band, when you sit in, when you sub, like, you don't want anyone in the audience, you don't want anyone in the band to even notice or realize that you're not the regular guy. You want them to think, oh, he's been playing with us for years. That's where you should be thinking about. So, how did I get my first gig? I was recommended by my trumpet teacher. How do I recommend to get gigs at a young age? All these things that I mentioned about being professional and, you know, showing, you know, don't tell people you're great. Show them you're great. Don't tell people that you're going to show up on time. Show up on time. Don't tell people you're a good reader. Show them that you're a good reader. Go to your teacher and be like, hey, can we do some sight reading? Oh, let's do some more sight reading. Oh, do you mind bringing in some songs from the group you play with? That's the way. So take it one more level. All right, this is next level. So this is at a young age. This is once now we're starting to be developed players. All right, you want to get the gig, and this is something that I'm actually working on some videos on series, and one or two videos. So you want to get a gig. You got to make sure. You got to make sure that, like, if someone else has got the gig, well, you got to wait till the gig's open. Otherwise, you got to be better than them. But the way that you get gigs is by being ready. All right, you got to be ready. And this is what I tell people. All right, you know, think about. I want everyone who's watching, like, write in the comments. This is interesting. Write in the comments what your dream gig is right now. Write in the comments what your dream gig is. I'm gonna give you all just a moment to put those comments in. I want to know, like, you know, what would you be most excited about? What would you be most excited about getting a call? What band would you want to play in? All right, we need a couple comments. So put them in there, and I'll tell you a couple. All right, for me, there's some bands. Man, there's a lot of bands I would love to play with. All right, Stevie Wonder, right? He's the greatest. One of my all-time favorites. I would love to play any gig with Stevie. Of course, he's got a great band. He's got people he's been playing with for years and years. Bruno Mars. I bet that would be a lot of fun. All right, let's get some comments. Anyone else? Tower Power, right? That would be a blast. I know some people who've played in Tower Power and that play in Tower Power now. But I want to illustrate a point to all of you out there. So that's why I need some comments. I need some current bands that are out there. Who's like your dream gig? Who do you want to play with? All right. And this is how we got to approach it. All right. I thought I was gonna get comments, right? Got 9 people watching, so someone's gonna write in. Oh, wait. I think it'd be awesome to play in a smaller jazz band. Okay, cool. So, smaller jazz band. What's the style of the jazz band? You know, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Okay. Or if it's a live still, Miles Davis. Okay, cool. So this is cool. So we got a name, Miles Davis. All right. So imagine for a moment. I mean, Miles is a trumpeter. So imagine for a moment, whatever band it is that your dream band that you want to play with them. Okay. Imagine that right now, in the middle of this live stream, your phone rings. Oh my God. And it's their manager or it's the band leader themselves. And they're like, hey, we'd love for you to play with us. Are you available to fly out tomorrow morning to play with us tomorrow night in whatever city that you don't live in, right? Now, there's a couple considerations. Consideration number 1 is, well, are you available? Like, can you do the gig, right? Can you make it? But consideration 2 is, can you do the gig? All right? If Bruno Mars called you up and says, hey, I need a trumpeter, it's not just playing the trumpet. All right? It's playing the trumpet with all the parts memorized, being on stage, doing the dance moves, doing the choreo. There is so much involved in that gig. The same with Stevie. Stevie calls you up. You're not going to show up on the gig with a stand full of sheet music. That ain't it. So unless you have all of Stevie's music memorized and you can play it from memory just as well as as his trumpeter, you're not even going to be considered. You're not even going to be on the list. No one's going to call you because that is, that is the prerequisite for that gig. All right. Some of these bands that we all dream and aspire and say, oh man, it would be so great. It's my dream to go play in this band. They often have standing members and they have sub members that have played with them for many, many years. So like, you got to be prepared. You got to be ready. And a fantastic lesson that I heard, this story that was told when I was at Oberlin, in the jazz program. Every week we had jazz forum on Friday, and it would be a master class or performance. And Billy Hart, jazz drummer, legendary drummer. He's played with everybody. And he gave this jazz forum talk, and he was talking about getting hired by everyone. All right. And he said, someone asked me, like, how were you able to play with this band and then this band and this band? And he was like, well, I really, I love their music. I wanted to play with them. I knew I wanted to play with them. So what I did was I got every single one of their albums and I learned every single one of their songs. And then when they would come to town, he would go and hear them play. So he knew what their set list was. He knew how they sounded. He knew the material. He knew the music. You take it one step further. You say, hey, insert trumpeter in whatever band. Let me get some lessons from you. All right. Then suddenly you're meeting that trumpeter that's in the band you want to play with, and they know who you are. You start playing and you have some lessons, and you could go to them and be like, man, I was listening to this last album you put out. It was killing. I loved it. Like, I was working on these parts. Like, was this right? Right. You transcribed it, you figured it out, and you play it for them. Like, you got to show them that you can do the gig. You got to show them you're ready. You got to show them that if they get sick, that if something happens, they have a family emergency, like their house floods, who knows what it is. There's 100 reasons. Their flight might delay. There's 100 reasons that someone might miss a gig. It doesn't happen very often, but every so often, someone's going to need a sub. And you got to put yourself in the position to be that sub, to be someone like ready to go. When I was in high school, I used to hear this band up in Cleveland called the Jazz Unit at the Bop Stop. Great, fantastic jazz club in Cleveland. And every Monday night, there was this 13-piece experimental big band that played all original music, really very challenging and complicated. And I used to go listen to them every week. And the band leader, Jack Shantz, is a big inspiration to me and a big mentor and a big influence. And he never missed the gig. It's his band. Well, one week he had to miss the gig. And he called me up. And he was like, hey, would you sub for me in this band? And I'd never played with a band before, but he knew that I had been there so many times. I had heard them so many times that I knew the music. Like he knew, he knew me as a player, but he knew, he's like, oh, I'm going to ask Josh because he knows our whole book. Like, I knew every song. I could sing them to you. And I could still sing a lot of them to you. Like, even though it was 20 years ago, like, I knew how the songs went. And so he felt confident asking me to do that. Chuck, you're right here. Local big band, good enough. Wayne B or Josh. Oh, I appreciate you even, putting me up there with him. Man, some local big bands are fantastic and great. Now that's like the same thing. Local big band. You want to play in the band, find out what the set list is. See if you can stay with one of the guys. See if you can go to their place and practice with them. See if you can find the charts. Work on them. Practice them. That's how you set yourself up for success. That's how you put yourself in the position to get the gig. And I'll leave you with one more story. And got more comments come in, and we're going to go a couple more minutes here. But another fantastic story. I just read this recently. Esteban, he's the principal trumpet of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Incredible trumpet player. Such a nice guy. And I've been very fortunate to be able to hear him play and get to know him here in Chicago and hang out with him a little bit. And I read online, he had a great interview, a feature that they did on him. And they were talking about, how he got the gig with the CSO. How did you get that gig? And he was saying how it was a dream of his since the beginning. Since he was a young boy, that he wanted to play with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, right? Bad Herseth, Chicago Brass. And he worked towards that goal. And the way that he prepared, he knew the rep list. Like, he knew what the pieces were for the audition, but he wanted to be certain that he was in a position of success. So he didn't just learn it said pictures at an exhibition, right? The promenade. And then it probably asked also for the piccolo trumpet, right? Probably asked for a couple bits. He learned the whole thing. Mahler 5, same thing. It's going to ask a principal. It's going to ask for that first part, the opening solo. There's going to be a couple other sections it's going to ask for. He learned the entire thing. He looked at the season of the Chicago Symphony. He learned the entire season of music because he knew he was envisioning that he was already in the orchestra. And what would that look like? And what would be required of him in order to have success and to get tenure and to be in the band? So he learned the whole season in preparation of his audition, just to make sure that when he got there, when he was on, that trial period, that he had success. And also, part of that audition process, they can throw sight reading at you. They're going to ask you to play with the trumpet section. They're going to put different pieces and see how you react. So if you've only mastered the excerpts, you haven't prepared for the job. You've prepared for the audition. All right. And that's the thing. When we're preparing for auditions, what's the end goal? We want the gig, right? If you can sound good on one or two songs, it's not enough. You got to play the whole set. If you can sound good on the excerpts, the short segments, you can, right? Petrushka, but you can't play the rest of it, and you can't play the piccolo part of you're going to be in big trouble. And that happens sometimes. So, that is with every type of band. So, a little off topic from where we started, but, this question here, how do you recommend to get a gig? That is a great topic. So much to explore there. And, love that story. Esteban really he walked the roll. Super important. I mean, that's it. That's how you get a gig. Anyone can get a gig. Keep in the gig. Keep the gig. All right. That's your goal. The goal isn't to get the gig. The goal is to get called back. The goal is to keep the gig. And, people will give you a shot, but first impressions are important. So you're not going to get too many of them. They may put you on the back burner for a while, for a while, until they're ready. Until they've forgotten what happened and how you sounded. And then they're like, okay, let's try this again. Let's hear how you sound. Let's see if you've worked on everything that you need to work on. And that's why I love, this thing I was talking about here, right? Coming to the beginning here, connecting the registers. It's so important. And, you're going to have music. It's going to go all over the place. Even once you get into college, like Halsey Stephen, right? Right? You got these low G's. It's there's some low notes in there. And then there's some high notes. And whatever the pieces are, I love the Rhapsody in Blue, the Dockschitzer arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue. And I've played that on a number of recitals, actually. And, man, it's great. But it goes up to a high D sharp, and then it goes down to a low F sharp or a low F maybe, right? I mean, I think you got to maybe bring it down. And then the In the Style of Albanese, another great solo piece. If you're looking for a fun, short solo piece, it's flashy and exciting, and it's got this Spanish thing going. Very fun. There's a line there. Right? Those low F sharps. But there's some. It really kind of goes up there. maybe a high C sharp, D sharp, then the low, there are these big jumps. And just as I've been saying the whole time, like if we're thinking of them as being, if we're thinking of it as being big, if we're not reaching with our air, we want to minimize the distance between our highest and our lowest notes, with how how we think of the range, and it's just going to open things up. Things are going to sound better. You're just going to have greater success with everything. So yeah, hopefully you took away a lot from this. I play trumpet. What are you writing here? Thank you so much for all the new technique warm-ups. I'll definitely use them in my band class tomorrow. Awesome. That is amazing. Glad to hear that. And if you are on, I'll just toss this out there again. If you're on my email list, I'm going to be, from time to time, as I do these sessions, I'm going to be putting together some little PDFs and including them, from time to time in my email blast that I'm sending out. So, you're going to be getting some of these PDFs and different things, and just shoot me a message on my website. You can find my email address, or even here on YouTube, if you go to the About page tab, I believe it has my email address. Shoot me a message. I'm always glad to share some of these with you, if it's going to help you out. Chuck, great tips. Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, just make sure you're having fun. All right. Don't take things too seriously. That's an important thing. All right. We want to make sure when we're playing that we leave the option open for fun. Like everything can't be too serious. Everything can't be too academic. Everything can't be too perfect. All right. I'm here. This is a live thing. It's going out to the world. It's going to be on YouTube. Of course, I want to sound great, but I don't mind also experimenting and be like, okay, well, right. Okay. Can I do that? That wasn't the cleanest, but I was trying to play an E above a double high C. All right. That's from a low pedal E flat, excuse me. We got to allow ourselves to try and do these things. So, a lot of people, they're apprehensive about, playing things where they think they're going to sound bad. Especially students in college, especially students who are in a learning environment and you're surrounded with practice rooms and everyone's listening. You think they're not listening to you. They don't care. All right. They don't know what you're trying to accomplish. They don't know what you're trying to do. And you got to be able to allow yourself to experiment, to be able to, achieve success, because as you do it, all right, that was okay. Starting on a pedal D all the way up to a D above a double high C. You got to allow yourself to try these things out. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to be able to do that the first time, but you're never going to be able to do it if you don't start trying to connect these things and practice them and, really get to the core of why it is that we can benefit from practicing these types of exercises. And that is, learning to play compact and not have too much extra movement and being efficient and leading and reaching with our air. Reach with our air. I got to make a hat or a shirt or something with that, or a yard sign. Reach with your air. No people are going to think I'm talking about like windmills or something. But that's what we need. I wish that was my slogan or something. But that's really what it's all about. Connecting with everything we need to be able to play, connecting all levers. All right. Any more questions from anyone before I wrap things up? This has been fun. I've enjoyed hanging out with you and answering your questions and playing through some of these examples and experimenting and just trying to see what works. But if there's no more questions, then I'm going to thank all of you for stopping by. I appreciate you very much. Next week, we are doing a session. Let me tell you right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what day and time it's going to be. Next week, we are doing a session on low notes, and that is going to be with Kayla Solomon, and it is going to be at Tuesday, the 18th, and we're going to do it at 8 p.m. Again, Tuesday 18th, 8 p.m. We're going to be talking low notes. We're going to be talking pedal notes. We're going to be talking different techniques, ways to practice, and really feel secure and good about them. I've got a great story that I'm going to share with you about a piece that is debuting in just 2.5 weeks' time. In 2.5 weeks, I'm going to be driving in. I'm not playing it in 2 weeks and a day. I want to be in Ohio, and I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be in the front row at Severance Hall. I'm so excited. I'm going to be in the front row at Severance Hall 2 weeks and 1 day, listening to Michael Sachs as he premieres Wynton Marsalis's first trumpet concerto. Wynton has written a trumpet concerto, and he wrote it for a mentor and friend of mine, Michael Sachs. He's going to play it with the Cleveland Orchestra. It's going to be incredible. And this last week, I had an opportunity to hang out with Michael and catch up with him and hear about some of this. And one of the things he was talking about was low notes, and how he told Wynton, he's like, I'm a principal player, but like, don't be afraid to write down in the bottom. And there are low G's, low F sharps. Like, there's a low F at one point. All right, I think there's a low concert E flat at one point. Like, it goes down there, and principal trumpet players, first trumpet players, lead trumpet players, like, normally it's like, oh, they're thinking about these high notes. We got to think about the low notes. And as I hopefully demonstrated and showed you in this session today, the low notes can help us unlock those high notes. All right. And as I've gotten better, being able to demonstrate and play like the kind of like the last thing I played, the low D to the double high D, like kind of ridiculous things like that. As I've gotten better playing low notes and solidifying it through my natural and then upper register, my upper, that extreme register has just gotten better. And it's allowed me to access it and stay more relaxed. And, I don't get asked to play that high on gigs. I've never been asked to play a double high D on a gig. But a month ago, I had to play some B flats, and last song on a big band set, and I nailed them. So, that's like, I was like, okay, I never had to play this on a gig before, but I do these types of things. I practice them just to make sure that when I get to that point, if I need to, like, I got a shot. Of course, I would rather have practiced that ahead of time, but, it was, for me, it was just great for me to experience, okay, I've put the work in at home. I've done what I need to do. I know how it's supposed to work. I know how it's supposed to happen. I've done this at home, and it works on the gig. Marcus, Kayla and Josh in the same stream. How did we get so lucky? Well, we're having fun, and we're going to have, let me know. We're going to have you on the stream as well. There's actually quite a lot we could talk about. And if you aren't all familiar with Marcus Grant, you got to check him out. He's got a great YouTube, great trumpeter, composer, educator. I know he's just been doing some adjudicating with the NTC National Trumpet Competition, I believe. And then of course there's the trumpeter, the multi-track competition. So, great things he's involved with. So, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you very much. And Chuck, thank you. I play trumpet. Thank you. Everyone else, KGR Music, thank you for being here. I got some exciting stuff from KGR Music that I'm going to be doing in some videos coming up. And that shout out, man, of course, man, I appreciate you. And we're going to be talking. All right. I'm going to have you on the stream. Let's chat. We're going to be doing it. All right. It's going to be fun. We'll organize it. We'll let everyone know. It'll be like a great hang. I'm trying to do more of like, I want it to be hang. I want community. This is what it's all about. All right. Connecting with other trumpeters, being geeky, talking about trumpet things, trying to play high notes, trying to play low notes, trying to connect things and sound good. Like, you know, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. And, you know, the storytelling and, you know, learning from each other, you know, learning from each other is the best way to learn. It really is, in my opinion. So, all right. That's what we got. That's what I got. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next Tuesday in a live stream, but I think I got another video coming out before then. So, all right, everyone, have a great evening, have a great night, have a great morning, wherever you are, and I will see you very soon. Thanks.